existing Minecraft Redstone games are awesome, but currently there are no fully working grand strategy games done completely using Minecraft Redstone. And so I made one. Now, in case you are not familiar with grand strategy games, they are a genre of games in which players control a map, like you see here, and battle for control of the world. Think Risk, but for nerds. There is a problem, though, at least for myself, which is that they cost money. Luckily, I already own Minecraft, the game where you can build anything. There is another problem, though, as well. As far as I am aware, there are no existing grand strategy games currently in Minecraft Redstone. And I know next to nothing about Redstone to do it myself. Nonetheless, that will not deter me, and thus I set out a little while ago to create such a game, where it is possible to play all of World War II in Minecraft. For this project, I figured that the two most important elements to get correct were a working map and a functioning combat system. When I initially started to create the map, I used redstone lamps to form it. My thought was it would allow me to show the two sides, where if it was powered on or if it was powered off. Initially, I tried using a vertical wall of redstone lamps to form the map. This would let me to pick two sides, one player being in control when the lamp is on, and the other player being in control of where the lamp is off. And so I created a small map, but alas, already from the beginning, my lack of redstone knowledge hit me, because when I powered a lamp, it powered on the adjacent lamps. Thus, to get the level of precision of territory borders that I wanted, it would have had to have been humongous, and that just wouldn't do. So after a while, I was thinking through this dilemma. I did what any good creative person would do. I searched the internet. And what I learned is that I should use wax copper bulbs instead. Well, they don't have to be wax, but copper bulbs. Added over 2 years ago. I didn't even know they really existed until I started this project, but when you power them, it doesn't power the adjacent ones. My problem is actually just solved by a block that's been here for like 2 years. So with that then out of the way, I needed a way to power them. And I came across this, where you can use an observer line to send a power down, and you can power a bunch of lights that way. So I combined the two, and with this, I could control exactly when and how much got powered. So that was what I needed to create the map. So I made the map. Then I made it again, but larger. And then I made it again, but larger. Because, if I am making a game with the map, it is going to be humongous. Because I want it to be humongous. Now I needed a system to control the map display. I decided that rather than each player being able to attack anywhere at any time, the game would consist of 3 fronts where players could attack. Because 3 is a smaller number. To determine how far along a front each side is, each front has a dropper containing a number of items that a comparator then reads. These items are then exchanged between the 2 droppers as the side advances or falls back. The more items, the stronger the comparator, and thus further along the front. The reason I use droppers instead of hoppers is because I was scared to figure out the timing with 2 hoppers. And, when I was making this, I had some bugs getting the droppers to work properly that I have since resolved, but I thought I would try to recreate them for you guys. I actually just can't. So I don't know what those bugs were or how I actually fixed them. But, if it works, it works. And that's the important lesson. With the map done, what was needed was a combat system, or the impressive combat system. To make sure the game had elements of strategy, I wanted there to be multiple types of units that fought directly, that fought differently. I decided to have 3 different types of units: air, tanks, and infantry. It took a lot of scratching my head to figure out this combat system, and this was what took the longest time. But here's what I came up with. First, all the defending air units come down here into this dropper. There's then a comparator that once again detects if there's any, items. Comparator detects if there are any items. And if so, it sends a signal, and one of the attacking units gets sent straight into lava. By attaching a clock onto this and sending one of the defending air units down into these hoppers, I can make this trigger. I can make this continue to trigger until there are no more defending air units, thus ensuring that all air units fire once. This process is then repeated with the attacking air units, the defending tanks, the attacking tanks, the defending infantry, and then finally the attacking infantry. Thus, the air units, by firing first, are the most powerful units in the game, followed by tanks, and lastly, infantry. To prevent units from advancing down the hopper system too early and mess up timing, it turns out that you can lock hoppers by sending them a signal to prevent items from going down them. So throughout this is just filled to the brim with hoppers that get locked and then unlocked to ensure all the timing works correctly. Now, real life combat is messy, and I wanted to show some of this messiness. So, once again, I went to the internet and found this randomizer, which I added to each step of combat. The randomizer means that your units are highly likely to destroy an enemy unit, but are not guaranteed. Now, allowing for randomness also meant that if this combat system doesn't work perfectly, well, I would have no way of knowing. Which is a win for me because that's easier. At the bottom, it detects if the attacker wins. The attacker wins only if they manage to destroy all defending land units, i.e. infantry and tanks, and survives with at least one of their land units to capture the territory. This being case, a redstone signal is sent over and it updates the map. When combat is over, this feed tape you see here moves and advances to the next front where combat can happen again. Finally, these item elevators I built, thank you again internet, brings all the units which survived combat back up for the players. In the end, none of these individual elements were complex. And, well, clearly with this wiring, I have no skill in optimization. I mean, I literally have the same exact V tape. I literally have the same exact feed tape detecting the same exact thing repeated twice just because I couldn't figure out how to have it be done in one V tape. But figuring out each part, all the other versions of this combat system which you don't see here that I attempted, putting them all together, all the wiring and debugging, took time. But now that I am here, I am happy for it. Because with all this together, you might be wondering, what does a turn actually look like? Well, here's what a player does. First, they determine which reinforcements they want. Do they want more air units? Do they want more land units? Each country gets different amounts of reinforcements. They then get and place their reinforcements in the various fronts. Not all nations can go in all the fronts. Then, for each front, they decide if they will have combat. If so, players take their units from the barrels, put their units in these barrels, and this button is pressed, unlocking hoppers beneath them and starting the combat system. Otherwise, this button is pressed to skip combat. Once all combat is done, it's on to the next player's turn, and that's the game. I want to end this video by briefly talking about some of the future plans I have. Firstly, I want to decrease how much stuff the player still has to do manually. I mean, I have this whole display right here, all for this manual stuff. Initially, I planned on having an item sorter at the start of combat to separate out all the different units. However, I couldn't figure out how to do that and get the timing to work because everything needs to go into the combat system all at once, essentially. I also want to figure out a reset system because currently it's not that easy to reset. Finally, though, and this is exciting, I plan on doubling this map to include the Pacific Theater, Japan, and to truly make it be a world war. If you have any thoughts on how to visualize control of the ocean, please let me know. Thank you for watching this far on me and my Redstone project. I'd like to thank my friend for the music and the intro, and in the description I've tried to include everything that I could remember that I found on the internet that was helpful in some ways. I would like to thank all those sources as well, for Redstone is ultimately a community endeavor, and those sources helped a great deal. If you yourself are interested in Minecraft Redstone, or if you like grand strategy games, I hope that maybe this project might have served as some inspiration on how you might make your own game in Minecraft.